Exactly 1 minute past 7. Welcome to Smart Means Business. I'm Andrew Barigi, and definitely diving in deep today. Specifically, we shall be taking a look at the burgeoning aviation sector that is in Uganda, as we shall be exploring the growth trajectory with the international passenger traffic surging that is by a remarkable 16% in the 2024. Now, this is actually reaching a record of about 2,243,104 passengers, but this growth definitely brings various opportunities and the challenges. But we shall be discussing still the influx of the new airlines, the critical role of Entebbe International Airport, the challenges and all the criticisms that definitely ring to that. And of course, we see that there is some bit of intense competition from regional giants like Kenya and Ethiopia. And we also analyze the potential impact that is on the average Ugandan, examining how giants like Kenya and Ethiopia are really are performing in this particular sector. And we can see this is quite actually becoming much more of a competitive sector, taking a look at the aviation. And of course, still in our Caribbean, East Africa, we shall be reviewing something in line with Ethiopia. As we speak right now, they now have a stock market. Now, the only aspect that is left is to have the companies that are going to be listed on that stock market. So that is something that is happening just right about now within Africa and also East Africa. But of course, before we proceed with any of the related stories, let's first of all take a look at what's making headlines within the local press. Starting off with the Daily Monitor, of course, kidney patients paying the price. Now, the delays to functionalize the kidney transplant cancer that is coupled with high cost of treating that is the kidney disease have left patients between a harrowing lifestyle and death. So this is something that is actually, people are becoming so desperate, and that can actually create a picture for you in the state of the economy and how people actually are feeling about, their perception about life is actually changing. They're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. Now, of course, regarding the Human Human Organ Act, President Museveni signed the Uganda Human Organ Act that was Organ Donation and Transplant Act that was in March 2023. So what does it really, how relevant is it, depending on the current reports that we are having here. Now, proceeding along, 15% procurement budget reserved, that is for special groups. Now, this is meant to enhance social inclusion, talking about the government, which has actually implemented a reservation schemes aimed at promoting the participation of these very groups. So there is something to get in from line. Now, according still to the guidelines, according to the new guidelines, that is for the public procurement, all procurement and disposing entities, certain procurement should actually be reserved. It should be reserved. That is to benefit the special interest groups, and these include the women, talking about the youth, and the persons with disabilities. Yeah, so 15% of the procurement budget has been reserved for those special groups. Now, still on that note, the government cultural leaders on 2026 polls, as Mr. Museveni reportedly pledged to enhance the monthly facilitation to kingdoms, that is from 50 million Ugandan shillings to 60 million Ugandan shillings, that is to run their activities. Now, this is quite a strategic campaign for the president, the president in that way. And now, something very exciting here about a girl who ran away from home to become a sister. Now, there is a huge story in here. What happened? You disappear from home, and then they only get to hear about you that you're perhaps a nun, you're a father, you're something, they can't even expect, Now, further details regarding the kidney patients who were trapped in fights, that is over the transplants. Now, experts suggest prioritizing the establishment of the Organ Donation Transplant Council, that is to invest in training more specialists and expanding the transplant facilities, that is in both the public and the private hospitals, and to also address the growing demand for life-saving surgeries. Yeah, so life-saving surgeries, those are part of the initiatives. Now, about 5 billion Ugandan shillings, that is the amount needed by the government to establish what we call the Organ Donation and Transplant Council, which will cover the costs, benchmarking the training, and facilitating that is the council's activities. So let us see how far it will actually go with that. And then Uganda's beauty is unique. President Museveni tells the Emirates team. Now, the president warmly welcomed the delegation, that is to Uganda, highlighting the uniqueness of the country's beautiful climate. You know, he's very proud. Is really a pretty good ambassador for Uganda when it comes to promoting Uganda's nature, what Uganda is endowed with, what abilities. And I love the confidence that President Museveni really portrays it. I remember that was 2024 when they went to Russia, and he was very confident trying to prove to Putin that we have some oil, and the Russian companies can actually come and exploit that oil. So that is a lot of confidence, because you're speaking to somebody that has a lot of oil, whereby Uganda's oil will just can't even have a portion when it comes to cover up, what he needs. It can provide the capacity, but the confidence, and that's what we call the true spirit of patriotism. And now more Ugandans react to Trump's orders. And now Donald Trump has signed a sweeping executive orders that is on his return to the United States presidency. And now these include withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. Now, in yesterday's edition, of course, there were reactions from the several Ugandans on how Trump's directives could actually impact Uganda and Africa at the same time. And actually, later on, we shall be having a further detailed discussion in relation to that, taking a look at what Trump's directives really have the impact on the health systems in Africa, talking about Uganda and also East Africa at the same time. But lots of people have come out to give their perceptions and what they feel about them. And then President Museveni says that our programs are to make you rich. Is very confident about that. And that is what he says. And now teacher goes down with Mpox return overruled. Now, of course, Joanna classroom teacher contracted Mpox from her pupil, according to the report, and has gone on indefinite leave. Now, she worries whether she will actually resume work as the next week. Of course, we're almost in the back-to-school season in that way. And that is, the teacher is worried that he may not report back and perhaps even losing the job or being replaced. So that is the disadvantage that are coming in line with that. Now, from the business section here in the Daily Monitor, gold worth 11 trillion exported without permits. Now, whereas the Mining and the Minerals Act bans anyone from exporting minerals without a permit, the Auditor General says that gold worth $3 billion was exported in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, that is without the permits. I remember some time back, that was in 2021, the government had actually paused gold miners, those people that are dealing in gold, because it was trying to revise the act, the Gold Mining Act. And finally, it was released, and now operations resumed. But surprisingly, we're seeing huge cases of smuggling that are happening in there. And now, taking a look here still at the Auditor General's report, it revealed that 96.49%, that is the Auditor General's revelation, means that at least 96.49% of the gold exported in 2023 was actually exported without the permits. So that really comes to investigate the transparency and how much money Uganda is actually losing as a result of this happening. And now East Africa cross-border transactions hit a record of $2 billion. Now 40% from the central banks in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania shows that total value of the transactions that is going through the regional payment system rose 40%. That is crossing the $2 billion mark for the first time. Yeah, so what does that mean? For the traders, grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor to find out further details in relation to that. And now, Mr. Byarugaba says that government should encourage bank mergers, says Byarugaba. And of course, I can understand what really this comes about, where we've seen massive closures of some commercial banks to an extent that perhaps if there was a merger in some sort of a way, it could be very easy for them to sustain in the business. So you can view it from that line. And of course, we've seen multinational banks also closing down operations in Uganda. Now, from the comment section here, somebody says that take part in voter register update. So you need to you take part of it. And also the malaria vaccine is a game changer. Somebody here says, how real is that? Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor to find that out. And of course, somebody here says that in a world full of flashing lights, we rediscover and enjoy the boredom. Somebody is actually asking in that line. And then from the business side, profits shouldn't be a business primary goal. I think this can be a very good quote for Smart Means Business today. Profits shouldn't be a business primary goal. So what are the primary goals that any business should actually focus on? Well, there is further details in relation to that. And the letter of the day, school fees pressure and the smart way to beat it. So if you are struggling with the school fees, in the letter of the day in the Daily Monitor definitely tells you how you can actually defeat the pressure for the school doers. And now, okay, still something. Somebody here says that how phones have become the closest companions. Phones becoming the closest companions. And I think that is quite dangerous, because for a country like Uganda, the rate at which people actually spend on the phones as compared to the time they spend to think about productive ideas, it's very worrying. So if it is in the letter, there are further details, of course, when you're reading through of how most of the Ugandans have actually embracing, the phones are becoming companions. And I don't think that is a right way for society to progress like Uganda, which still has a lot ahead. And somebody here says that, can I repair and drive my car after a rollover accident? So this is in the mechanic section. If any person, you could have experienced that, well, there is some advice here as you grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Okay, and also they tell us the boxes to tick when buying a used car. Now, they say that finding the right locally used car can actually feel as challenging as searching for a perfect life partner, and I can understand that. Now, the guide aims to help you navigate the process through with the confidence, providing a practical advice that is to ensure that you make an informed decision before you can actually make a purchase, because you never know what might come as a result of that. And now, as we proceed still here in the Daily Monitor, in the regional news, Budaka registers that is a drop in sickle cell disease cases. Now, statistics from the district health department indicate that in 2023, suspected cases of sickle cells stood at exactly 1,456. That is in 2024, the registered cases were about 914. So something further details, just grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. And now Chabazinga leads a fight against the teen pregnancies. It's becoming a huge deal, and lots of the girl child have actually lost the future. We've lost potential creative people, because in that stage there is a way you're stigmatized, and you're meant to feel like you've not made it in life, like you're a failure. How could you do that? So Chabazing is leading the fight against the teen pregnancies, and that is one of the ways to avert that. And now 2 nominees selected to replace Bishop Tamale. The 2 candidates were selected. That is during a meeting in Masaka City on Tuesday morning. Yeah, so there is further details onto that. And still in the regional news, what air traffic at Entebbe upcountry says about 2024. And of course, we have a detailed report all in relation to that. Now, the growth in passenger traffic has been attributed to attributed to commencement of Uganda Airlines flights that is on the Abuja, Lagos, and Mumbai roads. Now, the new air operators joining the Ugandan airspace sustained a promotion of tourism and resumption of international conferences such as the NAM and the G77 plus China Summit, among others. And the fish farmers, we go out of poverty. Now, residents now want the government to help procure them feed making machines. That is what they're calling about. And the Culture Bridge project stalls over 1.89 billion Ugandan shillings fund gap. So why is that really so? Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor to get the further details for that. And proceeding along, the private sector actors battle Lira plastic waste crisis. I mean, we're talking about the circular economy here. Now, amid the challenges, Lira City Council and private players are making concerted efforts, that is to collect and recycle the plastic waste. And they're making a lot of money. And they tell us here how it is done. They say that they buy the plastic bottles from the members of the community, and they sort and then transport them to Kampala to be recycled. And it's providing massive employment opportunities for the various young people in Lira. Now, in African news, we see inside a big fight that is to control millions in Nairobi toilets. Now, several strategically located toilets, that is including those at archives, that is Letma Road and Accra Road, remain closed as the county government seeks to resolve the conflict around their management. Now, of course, they say that these toilets have actually been controlled by politicians for too long, and they want the governor to allow genuine youth groups to manage them. I mean, talking about the public toilets management that is in Kenya. And a gang leader evades police after 78 miners are killed in South Africa. Thousands of people are believed to be mining gold illegally in abandoned industrial mines in South Africa. Now, the operations are thought to be run by Lithosa-based gangs, and the police say some of the workers are illegal immigrants that were recruited, that is from the neighboring countries, without knowing what they have come to do. A gang leader evades police after 78 mines are killed in South Africa. This is a country that is actually inflated with violence of late, away from, the discrimination of the blacks. But there is a lot of gang violence, And I remember, for the music fans, you remember back in 2023, early 2023, one of the top rappers in South Africa was murdered in Durban. That was AKA, through still gang-related aspects. Because according to the video footage, really shows you that, and it's still happening in here. Okay, now hundreds of captive protesters have been released. Now, this is from the foreign news side. President Trump declared clemency for everyone charged in the assault when a mob of his supporters stormed the Capitol, that is in 2020. So hundreds of Capitol protesters have been released. You remember back in time, and every person was like, I used to think the United States of America is actually a democratic country. It really spread wars all over. And now Donald Trump has released them, Now, Mexico leader vows to defend sovereignty. Now, the people of Mexico can actually be sure that he will always defend the sovereignty and the independence of that. So that is in regards to what is happening in Mexico City, in Mexico, the country. And then in the sports side, Gaddafi are FBL half-term winners, according to the report, and the government gives assurances about the weather sanctions. So grab yourself a copy to find out further if you're really very interested in sports. And then the West Nile unites to celebrate fallen Agao's enduring legacy. Yeah. And of course, in a moving display of love and unity, West Nile paid tribute to one of its football icons, that is Agao, at a memorial event that transcended the sports. Now, thousands thronged the Green Light Stadium in Arroa, turning the day into a celebration of his immense contributions. And the Uganda Cup, we see Biakwaso gets shot at redemption against Seta United. Now, a sports club Villas bid for a record 10th Uganda Sports Club Villas bid for a record 10th Uganda Cup begins today, whereby they'll be taking against Minnesota United. But of course, they are facing still a taste yet. You know, one of the favorite players might not really be a part of the game. And now, gift tourney preps Kenya ahead of Teen Cranes clash. Details are in there. That is from the side of the local sports. And then Aya Eyes birth in She Crane squad. Yeah, there is a lot there to say. The three big strikers have their sights on Commonwealth titles. Who are those strikers? Well, you'll get to find out the details as you get yourself a copy. And finally, from the racing side, hopefully Yasin returns for NRSC season opener. So, of course, he's back in the driver's seat and ready to ignite the NRSC season opener, that is with a statement performance. Now, after months away, that is the 2019 NRSC champion is determined to reclaim his spot at the summit of rallying. So, that is it for the Daily Monitor. Now, switching to the No Vision straight away, Uganda Revenue Authority slaps tax on job contracts and agreements. Now, defaulters face a 2 million shilling penalty, all 6 months in jail. You know, and then government deletes over 4,000 from January payroll. Yeah, and Busoga urged to increase household incomes. Of course, that is President Museveni. And then court orders Lwasa to pay 848 million Uganda shillings. For what reason? Well, grab yourself a copy of the No Vision to get the details. Now, the Anglican Church Inspire Africa partner to boost coffee production. Now, here we see the involvement of church when it comes to society growth and development. Many times, the message that has been preached in the church has been more of a spiritual side, and it explains why you find the majority of the people that are really so committed to that, they're not really having a good life. And why is it happening that way? Because they're struggling financially. There is no message about prosperity being preached, most especially when it comes to encouraging the young people, encouraging the people in church to actually get to involve themselves in community business, you know. So the Anglican Church is actually setting the pace, and together with the Inspire Africa, they are partnering to boost coffee production. And that is very amazing. And it shouldn't just be for the Anglican Church, but for the Muslims and the Pentecostals and the Catholics as well. Now, President Museveni rallies Busoga on household income. Now, the visit is part of the President's PDM Performance Assessment Tour. Yeah, so incomes, household incomes. And the President believes that this can actually be achieved when we mechanize agriculture, you know. And now, proceeding along, government orders deletion of 4,000 from the payroll, you know. Now, the report indicated that a total of about 6,059 civil servants of the government workforce are aged 60 years and above, but they are still on the payroll, you know. And I think that really confirms the state of people that have lost hope, because when you go in town right now and you discuss about doing business, most of the people will tell you that if you have capital of 50 million and you do a business in town, it's not going to profit. Why? Because of the massive fines, you know, unnecessary fees, the charges, the level, rent bills, the taxes, of course, which is the biggest challenge, you know, right there. So It explains why people feel are more safe to be in employment, most especially those that are in the government. So the fear of the economic condition is to why you see 60-year-olds, 75-year-olds that's still on the government payroll, you know. And I think we need to understand it that way before the government thinks about putting them off the payroll. You know, honestly, that needs to be really considered, because why are people really running towards government jobs? You know, I actually saw some time back an animation somebody made in relation to how it is like to wait for a government job, and it was very amazing. Whereby the way it was actually filmed, I mean, you find like about 10,000 people are lining up for on the street, and they're waiting for a bus or a train. So when the train comes to stop here, and only one person comes out, and there is only one seat, and that one seat, over 10,000 people fighting for that seat. So it shows you how desperate people are for the government jobs, because they have lost confidence in investment, in business. You know, running business in Uganda, it's very hard as we speak, most especially where we have increase foreign interference, foreigners, you know, having these tax holidays. So some people feel like this is not fair. So they feel like I'm safer when I stay in the government. You know, I'm safer when I stay employed, whether even the private sector. Now, Uganda Revenue Authority, in other stories, the Uganda Revenue Authority enforces tax on job contracts. So there is details here, as I can see, an employee that is signing a contract to move to enforce the law that was greeted with a lot of criticism from employers and experts. Now, President Museveni meets Emirates Airlines delegation. Now, officials to identify tourist attractions in Uganda, you know, and you know, that's the advantage that Uganda actually has over most of the East African countries. Majority of them do have the infrastructure that can actually support the tourism, you know, the nice hotels, the services that are really top notch. But when it comes to tourist attractions, Uganda is largely in that bed. To what degree have we capitalized on that advantage? All right. Now, contractors linked to vandalism of high voltage power lines have been linked, you know, all these in here. So grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. I can see UETCL speaks out. Somewheres were stolen in Rubirizi. There is a case in Kalungu, and then so many more. So there is a lot contractors that have been linked to vandalism on high voltage, that is power lines. Now, taking a look at Uganda's economic performance, Uganda's exports hit 2.4 trillion shillings in November, according to the report. Now, exports were largely dominated by trade within the East African community. East Africa, just like the Asian continent, 70% of the trade on the Asian continent is executed amongst the countries themselves. And if it's happening in East Africa, then what are we doing to strengthen that? Recently, the president was actually calling upon the removal of trade barriers, you know, to enhance the trade amongst the East African countries. Remove the trade barriers. It has been a huge hindrance. Most especially, Uganda has actually been a victim, you know, to Sudan, Tanzania, Kenya right there. And the report indicates that most of Uganda's exports were actually sold within the East African region. So how do we strengthen that? Because it's proving to be profitable and something that can really work out for the country. And now, teachers, SACCO's bosses arrested over misuse of 6.6 billion grant. There are lots of allegations in here, and just grab yourself a copy of the New Vision to get the details. Now, the court orders a socialite, that is Lwasa, to clear 848 million bank loan. Now, of course, the sum also includes interest that has accumulated since he acquired the loan in 2016, and a failure to pay the money puts him at a risk, that is of being jailed for 6 months in a civil prison. You know, that's according to the experts. Now, Kampala City Council Authority defies NFA to dump garbage in Mpigi Forest. Now, the authority is still grappling with garbage disposal following the closure of Kitezi dumping site last year. Now, at the moment, the city authority is being accused of dumping Kampala's garbage on a contested piece of land in Mpigi district. Now, of course, the New Vision brings you the latest report on the reactions of the area residents. The area residents don't seem to be pleased with the whole idea. Now, at the end of last year, Kampala City Council Authority acquired 230 acres in Mudunasab County, approximately 27 kilometers from Kampala City Center off Michiana Road. So grab yourself a copy for the further details to get that. And Nakalima hails Buganda leaders on moral guidance. Yeah. So what are the further details entailed with that? Well, get yourself a copy. And now from the comment side, somebody here says that include exercise the national health strategy and why we should abolish boarding primary schools. Of course, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, that is Professor Lawrence Muganga, says why these need to be abolished. I love him for his openness. He's an open-minded person. He's adaptive to the world trends. And I believe he's one of the key figures if we're talking about transformation of this country in terms of mindset shift. Now, he says that prevailing reliance on boarding schools is lingering colonial vestige that often disconnects children from their families and communities. So children have less time to participate in the communities. They have less time to really engage in activities there. And at the end of the day, they're out of school and they can't even, it's the reason actually why most of the solutions, most especially the startups in Uganda, are not tailored to the society needs. Why? Because the developers themselves have not gotten the time to interact with the society, to get to understand the society and get a revelation of what really the society needs at the end of the day. Well, just have about, it's 27 minutes to the top of the hour. Well, let's go for the break and I'll be returning with Caribbean East Africa and what is happening on to the international space. Stick around.